Hello, everybody, and welcome to Hello World, podcasting with Magdalena. It is about conscious living and well-being. It's also information highway for global community, and that is, in the era of paradigm shift. And folks, do I have somebody here today who will share with us, talking about the paradigm shift. She will be the perfect guest, and I will just let her, introduce herself. And she's actually coming from Standing Rock, and I really appreciate that, she took my interest to bring her to my interview, and it's very emotional, so I'm sorry, folks. So, Christine, let's just make it simple. Hey, welcome, Christine from Standing Rock.
Thank you, Magdalena. I'm so pleasure. I mean, I'm so glad we had the few hours to get to know each other. So I'll do a little introduction. My name's Christine Anderson by birth. I have a chosen name, which is Aureo Sky. And I founded a website called empaths.net and a YouTube channel called Not in Our Name, The Truth No Matter Where It Leads Us, with Claudia Ayaz, who's been the most essential friend. I mean, just beautiful. So I wish you could join us today. I am at Sacred Stone Camp at Standing Rock. I believe today is the 7th or 8th, so I've been here. I'm celebrating my first month on the ground, and boy, has it been a journey. And Magdalena, I can just go for it and talk, or if you have any specific questions, I'm
Christine, listen, number one, first of all, like I said to you, it is so emotional to me because I'm following for quite a bit what's really going on. And number one, I really wanted to thank everybody who is there. They're being in this unbelievable weather conditions, and what's really going on, and you folks are standing ground for all of us. So much gratitude, and thank you for that first.
Oh, thank you so much, Magdalena. And it is more than anything, and of course, every person here appreciates the gratitude, the donations, the support, the emotional support. That goes, really deep. And I want to thank all the Facebook researchers, reporters, media, the people on the ground here that in unbelievable conditions cook food every morning. It's phenomenal. And I do want to kind of go into that on the surface level, and then maybe we'll go back.
Absolutely. And this is, as we were talking about, Christine, we're talking about that, this is more just, fight with the Dakota pipeline. This is actually a journey of spiritual revolution. So we can go on both sides. So, yes, please go for it.
Okay, so just in saying, a little bit more about myself, I realized when I got the spiritual call to come to Standing Rock, number one, it was undeniable. And you will find most people here are under that call. I have seen a 23-year-old girl named Freedom who is from Connecticut. She just got in her car and drove here. I have met so many people, and when you say what brought you here, they say it was a spiritual call. So what I feel here so deeply, I mean, it's so deep that it's even hard to bring to words, is that this is the emergent world. We've all been prepared for it. We've all been waiting for it. We haven't really known how to do it within the old paradigm. I feel that Mother Earth, the great goddess Sophia, the wisdom, the intelligence of this earth, has been little by little putting out the call, preparing us to be here, and it's emerging. And this is order emerging out of chaos in a natural way. There's no hierarchical structures here. Everybody helps everybody else. I've never felt more blessed, more honored in my life than to walk among the people here. It's practically seamless. Any need is met. And I want to put this out really importantly, Magdalena, if I may.
Absolutely. This is why I'm kind of in just the background listening.
There's a lot of propaganda, psyop, bullshit coming down from the Morton County Sheriff and from other anons within the official political parties and from DAPL itself. And the truth is, there are no people that have died here, number one. I keep hearing reports. There are no need. We are a sovereign being in a sovereign nation of the Lakota, Dakota people, the Sioux, the Pawnee. All of the nations have come together here. And so we have working together. Last night I was visited as I got back to my tent by somebody who basically just goes around. He goes from tent to tent, teepee to teepee, yurt to yurt, making sure everybody has what they need. The medics here are phenomenal. Phenomenal. You know, they blocked off 1806 with the barricade, saying that the bridges could be structurally damaged. Well, that is pure non-truth. That's a lie. We need them to open up 1806, because if somebody does have a major medical condition and needs transport out of here to Bismarck or Mandan, we can't go through Highway 6 and 24 right now. They're not plowed. So in fact, the government henchmen, the goons as they call them here, have put us in a position of where we are taking care of ourselves. But I'm calling them out on that right now, Magdalena. It's not the only thing I want to talk about, obviously, but this needs to get out. So with that said, it's a beautiful, beautiful experience. And the sun came out today. The wind's still howling. We are in survival
How cold
conditions.
is actually right now there, Christine?
I haven't checked my app today, but with the wind chill factor, I estimated about minus 14 to minus 18.
Still cold.
It's very cold. I got stuck at the casino the night before, and I made it back late in the afternoon yesterday. I was able to keep my tent warm. Fortunately, my tent didn't come down. It was pretty well winterized. When I woke up this morning, Magdalena, everything in my tent was frozen solid. That's a 5-gallon water jug frozen solid.
Oh my gosh.
That's how cold it is. So that's another very important message, is that if you're going to be here on the ground, you need to know what you're facing, and you need to be self-sufficient and very focused. The physical aspects, can you hear the wind? The physical aspects of living here require 0-point consciousness focus. You can't afford to forget things. You can't afford not to have propane or fire or heat. And this is one of the messages that everybody's putting out right now. So it's helped me tremendously. The physical labor.
I remember yesterday we were talking about actually that a lot of people kind of underestimate what's really going on, because if you are not used to these kind of conditions, I mean, I lived in Maine, so I know what it means to be, in the winter. But a lot of people are underestimating these conditions.
They have underestimated it. I bet, the first weeks here were gloriously, the sun was out, you could get warm, even though it was cold. But with snow, blizzard, and howling wind, I mean, if you go out in the wind, you've got to be prepared to handle it. So I'm probably
That's
going
just on the physical level, yes.
Yes, on the physical. So let's go, because we've talked about the spiritual aspects of it.
Thank you.
And what is very hard to express, and we're all going to feel it in a very individual way, that while we're viewing on the outer level the confrontation with DAPL anons and agents and their henchmen and the water cannons, rubber bullets, and the really horrific tactics that they've been using, there's what's underneath it. Okay, and I give this to the elders, to the 7 sacred fires, to the sacred fires that were lit here. Okay, this is a deep spiritual revolution. This is where humanity has a chance to reclaim its divine essence and its spirituality. I've been a spiritual sovereign for a couple years now. That was a long, hard path, but never until I got here have I experienced in a collective the eminent beauty of Mother Earth. And it is an intelligence field that when you tap into it, totally gives you direction. And we're making encounters right now. And we talked about this too, Magdalena. When me, whatever I am, but me, the I am being that I am, when I connect with another, a piece of me comes home and a piece of them comes home.
Absolutely.
And so there is a neural network, if you want to call it that, or a communion network that is organically being formed here. To the extent, Magdalena, if you can maintain focus, now presence, or 0 point, everything that you need is presented to you. I have had I have had demonstration of that again and again and again and again and again. And every time you get that response from the intelligence field, from the divine, abundant field, we were trained to think that there's scarcity on planet Earth. That is probably the biggest lie we were ever told.
Oh, absolutely. I totally agree with that.
So to the fact that when you can be in her field, be in her arms, when you can surrender completely, let go of whatever limits you feel that you're still dealing with. Most limits, I would say probably all limits, are based on fear. You start to emerge into your own self in connection with that. And that to me is what's happening at Oceti Sakowin, Sacred Stone, and
Well,
Rosebud.
absolutely, and this is what I actually feel also, Christine, that, because people maybe underestimating that, because if the winter comes in, people will, decide, oh, it's too cold or whatever, and they will leave. And it's actually turning out totally different.
It is. If, I had a moment of crisis. I don't go without, it's never, but I was feeling like I don't know if I can stay, through the brutality of the weather. And, this is something else. But I was able to sleep. I knew I was tired. I thought, well, you just don't decide a darn thing until you feel, you get some sleep. And I woke up in such a blessed state of being that, there's no doubt that I can stay here. You were saying something, and I just lost my beam there for a second.
Well, what I was just kind of saying that, this right now, weather condition and everything is just proving that, beyond, you're actually going right now beyond the mind limitations.
Exactly. And there is another aspect, and I'm going to bring it up just in a briefness of it. A lot of people have asked me, well, how do you know things? And I say, because I have an inner gnosis. I follow my own inner gnosis, but that inner gnosis is connected with my own sacred fire, right? And there is a sacred fire. There are sacred fires. And how do I know that we in human body form, in this physical form, can do amazing things and feats? Is because it's been demonstrated to us throughout the ages by the yogis, by those in Tibet. And it was freezing this morning, and I thought, turn on your inner fire. Just turn it on. And we have an inner sun. We're connected to all suns, to all stars. And so it's a challenge, but out of necessity is a lot of times where our learning comes from. And so we're lighting each other's fire. We're lighting each other's spiritual fire here at Standing Rock. And it's not that I have any superhuman physical abilities, but I'm gathering a gnosis of that right now, because my survival as a physical being depends on me learning.
Oh, absolutely. I remember, our conversation yesterday, what we were talking about, that, when I was sharing with you that I feel that, what I'm seeing over there, these two energies, this deep, feminine Mother Earth energy, and then you have this, conscious 5 or 10% of the masculine energy that is trying to do so desperately, and they're just hitting this unbelievable resistance. And that is actually where I believe that we are breaking the barrier of understanding on a much, much deeper level.
I totally agree with you, Magdalena. And so, but not to separate out too much the masculine and the feminine. We have a divine masculine, feminine in each of us. But what we're seeing, played out in these really dark ways is we're seeing a male energy, or you can call it a negative pole of energy or a positive, I don't know. But that energy, which is afraid, it's terrified. It doesn't know who it is. It doesn't know anything other than acting out these, putting on guns and bulletproof vests and driving around in tanked out cars and shooting water at people in prayer because it's in fear. And so I do agree with you that on a really deep fundamental level, that our journey is to remerge the right relationship within ourselves first and then in the outer world of these two forces. And you can put it into the dark and light forces, although I don't like that because people think the dark is evil. Well, the dark's not evil. The dark is pure potential.
Yes.
But
there's so many aspects to it, Christine. I was just kind of putting it in a sense that, we can grasp at least to something.
Right, exactly. Wherever you are, whoever might hear this, wherever you are in your own consciousness, you're on a fluid journey right now. It's a non-stopping journey. Once you step out of the bondage, once you break down your own fear barriers, your own need barriers, then you start into the fluid field. And it's a long journey. It's not something that, somebody goes, poof, magic, you're there.
Exactly.
Right?
Yes.
It's probably one of the problems I have with a lot of gurus because they can light your pineal gland and you can have extraordinary experiences, but it doesn't take away your own journey. So while you can open up for a while and you get a much bigger picture, or you can do it with plant medicine or any of the myriads of ways, the long walk, through your own being is the one that's going to really give you enlightenment. It's going to really give you back your divine essence.
But also, Christina, it's a journey. If the journey is infinite, that it just doesn't stop here, and then everything is hunky dory. That's the misconception that we are actually dealing here. That a lot of people are thinking that if we just overcome this, then everything will be hunky dory. No, what we want to do is kind of how can we learn to, as we go, on the journey. How can we master these energies? It's almost like a climbing the mountain.
It is exactly like that, and that's one of the classic metaphors of all teaching is that you get to the top of the mountain. Well, climbing that mountain can be very treacherous, and you're going to slide. You're going to slide, and you're going to fall many times. And it's that inner will, or I like to say inner fire. The determination that you decide for yourself. Not by some healer. There's many beautiful healers along the way that have helped me, but you have to find it in yourself. Okay, I fell. I may have gone all the way back down the edge of the mountain. I may have fallen off a precipice on my way up. But the part of the I am or the I will in a free will universe is that, okay, I learned. Where's the way? And it's a very, very narrow passage, frankly, because you have to take both the dark and the light sides of your own being, or the two hemispheres of your own brain, and bring them into the one. And when you're in that one space, which is you in connection with Mother Earth and Father Sky, right, then the passageway is shown. But it's a huge journey, like you said, and it's not an ending journey. It's the never-ending journey.
No, it's not. That's the whole point, because, look, like I was sharing this with you yesterday, that, I felt a sense of disappointment on Saturday, and, because people were thinking, oh, well, yeah, oh my God, this is right now victory. No, there was so much more behind that, and, people who are truly on that deep journey, they recognize, no, this is not it. There will be much more challenges here.
Oh, for sure. And even here, I was with the vets the day that they announced that the engineers had denied the access. Well, they never had an access, number one. Okay, the Army Corps of Engineers never gave them an easement. Never. All right, that's been known for months and months and months. So it was immediately when I heard that, I thought, no, something was brokered there. Well, of course it was. There was something close to 7,000 or more vets on the ground here, and I met and talked to them, and they're awesome. And they weren't going to go. The police force wasn't going to go up against the vets. So it was a political move, because within hours, Energy Transfer Partners, who's behind the Dakota Access Pipeline, came out with a report to their financial investors saying, we'll just pay the $50,000 fine. We're going to go ahead and drill. And they have been drilling. They've been drilling.
That is to me the biggest. Oh gosh, I mean, when somebody's saying paying a fine, that doesn't mean anything because it's just money. There's no shift in the consciousness, Christine.
Not at all. And it's just money that they're printing and manufacturing. I mean, it's all debt anyways. If you really, really study the financial issues, we're in a debt society. There's no real value left in it. And, so when you talk about the black snake, which comes from the Lakota prophecies, you have to go deeper into understanding what that is. Because it's not, and this is where humanity made the stand. And I am so grateful to all the Native Indigenous people of the whole world, but to those here. I feel like they're very deeply my people. While I maybe don't carry their blood in this lifetime. However, we made a stand here, and people from all over the world were called here. And so this is where we made the line. But that doesn't mean it's over because it's all about the petrochemical industries, which includes big pharma, huge farming operations, the whole thing. You can anything that anybody's studied and understand, from the vaccine agenda, the genocide of the indigenous people all over the planet, what's going on in Syria right now, what goes on in Palestine right now, the slaughter of our children. It's all right here. We're facing that. We're standing there in prayer, facing that type of an energy. And so as these two opposing dynamics are imploding here, they're meeting each other, it opened up the paradigm. It cracked it. It cracked it. Okay?
That is so, yeah.
And so what's happening is the whole world is now starting to see it. And my hat's off to so many, like Myron Dewey and Itza and the Drone to Be Wild guy who nobody can pronounce his name, and to Dustin Thunderhawk, and to the Youth Council, and to all of these people here, these indigenous natives. And it's like they know what they're doing. Because why? Because some of them are super educated. I don't take that away. Because they're tapped into the divine intelligence. And they know that we cannot fight violence with violence, oppression with oppression.
Exactly.
This is all about prayer. This is deep ceremony, friends. And for any of your listeners that pray, that do their own ceremony, what I have found here, I have gone deeper into understanding prayer. I used to have a prayer group, okay? And we'd, God in heaven, we'd make petitions, right? And that's just the God matrix. And a lot of people get their prayers answered that way. But this is Mother Earth. This is deep prayer. And you can feel it here.
Well, then, Christine, because you're getting in touch with your own essence. You find yourself then in that mother energy or in that organic energy.
And then that's exactly what it is, Magdalena. I mean, there is somebody here on the ground from every walk of life. Okay, that means there are people that are still bearing deep traumas. There are people that have been rejected by their family, abused by their own families. There are people that were alcoholics. There are people that have disease. Okay, there are people that became dependent on pharmaceutical drugs. But you know what's happening here? They're healing in a very natural way. Because they're in.
I told you yesterday that it's a huge healing ground at the same time.
It is. It's sacred. It's sacred ground, friends. It's sacred. We're holding the sacred field here. And so anybody that comes here, I've had people tell me they had Crohn's disease and they haven't had it since they got here. I've had people tell me that they had diabetes and they're fine now. I've sat with people, some of the frontliners that were so brutally attacked. Understand, friends, until you have somebody wanting to take your life and you're face to face with that person, you don't really understand the full force of the trauma. And the other side, I don't know what to call them, the DAPL agents, okay, which is probably, it's much deeper than DAPL even. I mean, we're dealing with a mercenary, trained, soulless police force. It's true. And it's being verified to me every day who's behind this. So when that happens to a person, it traumatizes. It leaves a wound. And so there are counselors here. There are safe yurts. There are safe teepees. There's special places for women to go. The medics, the healers, the herbalists. I mean, there are trauma-trained people everywhere. And so whether or not a person finds their way to that type of help, the fact is that it's here. It's available in the ether, if you will. You know, there's always somebody around to offer you whatever it is you need. You know, and I don't care.
As I'm listening, Christine, you know, I am just like, wow, you know, talking about you practically immediately faced with you shadow energy, and it's an instant healing here.
Mm-hmm. Yes, there is, and it, you know, there's no upper or downer here, level here. There's nothing to attain here. You see, those are all old modalities of an old paradigm.
Mm-hmm.
There's no, you know, yes, as wherever you are is where you are, and you embrace yourself where you are. You embrace your own truth. You learn to trust yourself again. I had no idea, confronted with the physical reality of where I am, that I could deal with it. But I do trust myself, and I do trust the inner voice, and I am learning every minute. Oh, you do have the skills. You do have the wherewithal. You do have the intelligence around you, you know, to deal with whatever you're confronting, be it physical, the weather, the force field that's trying to penetrate here that can't, you know, infiltrators here. Okay, they're seen in an instant. Anybody that's holding a true negative energy that comes into the camps, they're detected immediately by dozens of people.
Wow.
Yeah,
so practically right now, you know, this is actually done with a talking you talk. This is walking you walk right now.
Yes, it is. It is. It is walking the walk. You know, they say the red road. You know, this is a long road home, friends, back to our divinity. That's what it's about. It's not about, you know, just, you know, I could not even say that, because some people are called to bring in donations. Some people are called to be here for a day or two. Some people are called to stay for a week. Wherever you are is perfect. Do what you can do. I mean, I can only by description describe the experience. You know, what I have seen in the donations blows my mind. This is a free society now. This is people taking from what they have and giving all. Truckloads of wood coming from all over the nation. There are so many donations right now that we can't get in here because of the weather, that are sitting in storage rooms in Bismarck and at post offices and all over. So much so that out of this beauty here, the community here now is giving back to the communities around us, to the reservations, to the schools, to the churches, to those in need outside there. I met somebody whose mission is just to go to the elderly, indigenous people that have been so suppressed for so long and making sure they're okay. It's so abundant that it's beyond what I've always dreamed about abundance in a society or in a gathering, but I'm seeing it demonstrated. There's nothing like it.
That is actually amazing, that, you know, this situation that is actually something so beautiful, it's getting born.
And I think it had to be this way, Magdalena, or it wouldn't have been this way. Too many people could not see the duplicity and the suppression that was going in on all government levels. They couldn't see past the facade of the politicians and the nice talk and the photo ops and the image making. Even though they'd seen it in Hollywood, you know, they'd seen Wag the Dog or Network or any of those films that have been showing it for, you know, 20, 30 years now. But until you see it face to face, until you have a relative here, somebody you love here on the ground, and that's another aspect of it, is people have left their family, their homes, their comfort to be here. But you can say that their mothers and fathers and sisters and brothers and aunts and uncles are starting to wake up because of that. You know, what brought Joshua here? What brought Will here? What brought Jake here? What brought, freedom here? What brought me here? It's like, because I'm going back through my bloodlines. I'm going back through my DNA structure. I'm changing it from that level too, simply out of human compassion.
Sometimes, what another thing is what I'm seeing here in this whole situation is that this is actually going right now for a long, long time. Suppression of the Navy from the beginning, and a lot of times when we are going into negotiation, we say, well, okay, find a middle line, but then, the opposing force can actually go in and push the agenda a little more and take more and more away from people. And we are still kind of going into a negotiation and say, well, it's okay, just forgive it. Now, the point is it's zero. No more forgiveness, nothing. You cannot push any more further back.
Exactly. They've taken it to that. I told you the other day when we were speaking in my own unfolding journey is that I won't go into my personal story. It doesn't matter. I'll only talk about what I learned. And having gone into the dark realm, all right, we can call it that. Everything's a realm. Everything has a matrix. Everything has a reality. And so when a being chooses the left hand or the dark path, they're going to go into the absolute absence of light. I think that's the best way I could put it. Because within the dark field or the unpotentialized or the unmanifest field, there's light within that dark. But this is the absolute dark, okay, without light. When you get to the bottom of it, it's finite. It's finite. It doesn't keep going. And so a being or a consciousness at that point has to make a choice. Mm-hmm. Am I going to make the long road back? Or am I going to recycle my energy back into the galactic or the pleroma or however you want to say it? Am I going back to a piece of stardust to start all over again? And I see that as what I can call them the soulless ones are going to be facing. On the other hand, the manifesting realms of creation are infinite.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. They do not have a finite to them. And so this imploding opposing dynamics here, which you're seeing in the collective right now, that also is an individuated or an individual choice. We need to do that within ourselves. But this is helping all of us because this is showing us something. It was too easy to walk away from the fact that they're slaughtering children in Syria or Palestine because that's happening over there to somebody else, right? And you can make all the justifications in the world you want to make, friends, but it doesn't change the fact that while that's happening on planet Earth, it's deeply coming from the shadow. It's coming from what you and I and all beings haven't been able to clear. And when you get into the pure compassion, you know that every child, okay, and every father and mother that is suffering when they see their children blown up or gassed is your child. You can't ignore that any longer. And that's the other side, you see, from what is being experienced here. And I am no one to tell anyone else how to get there. How to other than open up, allow yourself to feel it hurts like hell, all right? But the suffering and the trauma on planet Earth has gone on for millenniums. It's time for it to stop.
But I remember we were talking about yesterday why many people are not going there because it's too painful.
Nothing is too painful, okay? But it's going to hurt like hell, okay? Because it's hell. It's hell. You have to walk through hell to come out of it. And that comes in many, many forms. I don't know any individual path for anybody else. I know my path was excruciating. But every time I managed to get through one of those dark nights of the soul, when I came back out, my vision, my clarity, my own inner will was strengthened. And it's really not avoidable. I mean, Carl Jung is, to me, a master.
Oh, and he is, yes. I love it.
Okay. And he left this life despairing that humanity did not get the depth of his message. And I feel Carl Jung around me, and he's like, you're getting it, friends. He's rejoicing now with us because enough people have made the dark passage. I mean, this is I could go deep into anything, Magdalena. I mean, you can go into the Emerald Tablets of Thoth. You can go into the halls of Amente. All the knowledge is actually available to us. It doesn't mean we have to go become an adept anywhere. It's all open to us right now. There are no more elite out there no more anybody out there that can do this. And that's my message, and it's been my message for years, is to empower another being, give them courage, give them solace, hold the field for them when they don't feel they can hold it themselves. Because somebody else did that for me.
Absolutely. And this is, when we were talking about, this is why we are called actually this interview journey of the spirit. This is a journey of the spiritual revolution.
Exactly. And, get over your own self. Get over your own ego. Get over your own limitations. I mean, I don't make promises, but I can make some assurances. When you hit those dark places, allow yourself the blessing of going through them. Don't take drugs. Don't look for somebody to take it away. Find a healer or a person that can hold that field for you and just simply love you for who you are. That's another horrible thing on our planet, is that, we've been drugging our society away from this passage. And believe me, the dark entities, they know it. They know it. They love it and they know it. So we're looking at a divine intelligence field that is up against a nefarious, and don't be tricked by it. It is very, very intelligent. But you know what? It will rise with our consciousness. It will. Because we are the rising. We are the rising. And as more people, what do I call it? As more people find their own truth essence and they can follow their own truth, then the less hold it has on the rest of humanity. And I don't know how many it'll take. It doesn't take everybody. There's many new souls here also that came here to have a physical journey. But it takes one of those of us that know now that we were prepared to be here. We chose it. It doesn't matter. I have a lot of friends that came into horrific situations and they've been overcoming it their whole life from childhood. And what you come to eventually is, I chose it. I chose the experience. I chose it. And I chose it so I could get knowledge. Knowledge doesn't come from a book. It comes from inside.
Absolutely.
I chose it.
Yes. That's so powerful, Christine. Because I think right now in this situation, what is happening over there at the Standing Rock is the same thing. People can make a choice.
Uh-huh. Yes. And you make that choice every breath you take. You see, it's not a choice you make once. It's a choice you make every breath, every heartbeat. You're making that choice. And that's why I say it's a very narrow passage, because there's always these opposing dynamics pulling you. There's a false light matrix. There's promises made by a false god. There's all of that. And then there's this very dark thing, which comes through, it comes through the 7 deadly sins. Envy being primary. Envy is the green monster. Envy is the first thing that came into the Garden of Eden. And then you go into greed, lust, all of them. You have to wrap them out of yourself. You have to be so self-observant that when those things try to invade you, that you just hold your field and choose something different.
Oh, absolutely. As you were saying, so the biggest thing what is really jumping for me is the false promises. There've been so many false promises. It just blows my mind.
Yes, and there's going to be more. There's going to be more. But that's why I always say it's like the only real trust. You can't really trust another. You can learn to feel trusting of them, but that comes with time. Or in your case, and my case, Magdalena, it was an instant connection. Why? Because you've done your homework. You've done your work. right? And I know it's not over for you or me.
Not at
But it's
all. That's the whole thing. Because I'm seeing this as a journey. This is what I was saying is that the biggest, illusion here, what we are dealing here, and I don't know sometimes how to even explain to somebody. Listen, this is not a destination. It's a journey.
no, exactly. And you could go to any true writing. Go to the ancient text. Go to the source. You see, that's the other thing. People go to the Bible. They go to the Quran. They go to the Kabbalah. Those have all been corrupted. Go to the Nag Hammadi. Go to the Dead Sea Scrolls. Go to the original writings if you want to try to extract the truth. Because what you just shared is known. It's a never-ending journey.
It's a never-ending journey, Christine. And if we will just go into that, we will actually take away this unbelievable tension. Because when you're going into this, this is a destination, you are so pushing to achieve it.
Right. Exactly. And I mean, I did that for so long, Magdalena.
Been there, done it. This is what I'm saying.
If I could just get to that place, or if I could just get the right house, or if I could just get the right car, if I could get, and then you learn over the way that those are empty promises because they come from the false, they come from the death cult, they come from the manipulation of your soul. But you have to get there. You can't. I can say it. You can say it, and may our words help another on their journey.
Exactly. That's all what we can do with this, and just share.
Mm-hmm. And share. That when you say that, and that's something that I've been understanding more and more. I've had a certain understanding of it or a certain comprehension of it. But people, humanity, because we are each other, we have an innate desire to share. It's innate in us.
Yes.
And all you can really provide, not out of the physical, we can provide each other help, but out of the physical is a safe place for somebody to share, no matter what it is.
And another thing, I would like to add, Christine, to that is that to have the willingness to admit that I am wrong, that I do not have the entire knowledge, that I am willing to say, okay, by today morning, what I'm trying to tell you is true, but by tonight, everything can be lost, and I have to give up everything.
Yeah, and I mean, it is, if you're still in right or wrong, that's a really good way to say it. For, I don't know how long now, I've realized that I can make something, it's very true, and I can state it. And I also know that because I'm one fractal of a whole, that every fractal out piece is now making similar choices, and it's going to change the whole outcome. So I can't be right or wrong. I can only state the truth in the moment that I see it. Yes. And it's been hard. I'm very adamant in my truth. And I know people can see that I'm trying to make myself right and them wrong. But it's not that. It's not that. I'm just adamant in my own truth.
Exactly. And when you say that, people are thinking, oh, yeah, you're just trying to put yourself out. No, this is not what I'm trying to put. That's the paradox, actually, that we are dealing with it.
Mm-hmm. But you see that now, because I don't take things personally, when a person has that reaction, it's not about me. It's just a state of observing their consciousness.
Thank you. That's all what we are saying. Yes.
Exactly. So, and and I only answer the call that I get from within inside me from spirit. So if somebody's met me per se, and they've had a hard experience with me, I don't make them wrong. I don't make them wrong. But I actually understand, like we were saying, this force field is cracking the false, is cracking the matrix, it's cracking through fears, it's cracking through false belief systems. So I understand very intimately that I'm pushing on that in an individual at times. Not because I'm trying to do that, but my energy is such that it's actually, because once you make a crack in a very well-constructed fortress that many have around them, you can plant a seed.
Yes.
And then it's not up to me any longer. And it never really was up to me. I'm just called to sometimes be that way. And so, I mean, I love all the images out there on the internet. I mean, you'll see so many incredible metaphors and memes for just what I just said. A seed planted in a cement sidewalk will find its root system and it'll start to grow.
Oh, think about dandelions.
Deadlines?
Dandelion.
Exactly. Exactly. Think about.
That's the first image that popped out for me.
Exactly. Or you think about the environment I'm in. It's going to get frozen, I don't know how many feet down in the ground. The river's going to freeze. But life will come back in the springtime.
Yes.
Life will always find a way. Always find a way.
Well, see, that is the magic in this whole thing. When you recognize that beyond this unbelievable, impossible situation, there's still another possibility. That's mind-boggling. That's mind-boggling to me.
Yes, and I'm so awed and wonder because I'm seeing what only my mind could imagine, and I couldn't even imagine it properly because this is something new. This is something that is coming from creation itself. So I knew that what was not what I wanted, and that's really what I knew. And so, and I've been saying for years, use your imagination, because we've been locked out of our imagination too. We've been schooled out of using our imaginations. Let your imaginary capabilities, and it's not about my way. It's not about, but it's blooming here. It's blooming here because everything's already been done. Everything's all known. Everything's all seen. But I don't see it all. I don't see it all. I just know that.
You just kind of get connected with the next thought.
Yeah, exactly. And I just remind myself when I'm in a moment of challenge or, oh my God, which way do I turn? Do I go right? Do I go left? And my answer to myself is you sit and you wait until you're shown. Because when you move without doubt, you're moving in the right direction.
Christine, I think that's actually the major point of this whole experience, what I think what it is. For the humanity to understand when you're in this incredible, impossible situation, to get in touch with that innate core or source energy.
Mm-hmm. That's it. It's
profound.
It's really, honestly, for anybody who has been, doing their work, looking for the spiritual keys, because there's keys. That's the fundamental. It's a fundamental. That's when you actually start to emanate in a different way. You're out of the matrix. You're out of the matrix. And it's so funny, Magdalena. I follow Facebook pretty closely, and there are people that go, you're not, nobody's out of the matrix there. You're all using petrol and you're using this and that. And I'm like, well, it's really quite simple. We have to survive. This is what the world's providing for us. But we're transformative. We're a bridge. We're taking that substance and we're generating something new from it. I think you said that to me yesterday, or somebody wrote me. It was another friend of mine. So it's like we have to bridge. We're
Absolutely.
We have to bridge. And so why would I say, I'm going to get all self-righteous and I'm not going to use gasoline in my car? Well, frankly, dear, I depend on gasoline right now. I won't always. I know that. But I'm not going to be stupid.
Well, you know what is interesting here? Another thing is what I was kind of, because I'm following a lot of comments and a lot of, approaches and stuff, and I'm thinking for myself too. And what I'm recognizing is also, one thing what we have to understand is that when we are going to look like in a special situation, what is happening right now, when we are shifting the paradigm, you cannot throw immediately everything away.
No, you can't.
And you cannot condemn it.
No.
And
No.
that's the problem what we are dealing, Christine, here, that, people are going in drastic, either white or it's black. No, that's another paradigm that we are dealing here.
Exactly. And so I'll state it again. The passage is narrow and it's right with the two black are positive and negative. You find within yourself that passage. You can't take all people off pharmaceuticals.
No.
You can't do that, but you can provide alternatives. You can be there for them when they're going through whatever they need to. I mean, I have seen amazing healings. People that were up to 16 pharmaceutical prescriptions, and you go, wait a minute, okay, all those symptoms that you're now experiencing are mostly side effects. So let's start taking them down. Let's start getting you off of them. And then let's change diet. Let's change consciousness. I mean, we got into that a little bit before we started recording because it does come through consciousness. And consciousness is dependent on knowledge. Because you can't have a consciousness of something you don't know exists.
Well, that's exactly what we were talking about in the beginning. Yes, you're right.
Mm-hmm.
That, and this is where my point was, is like, yes, these two forces. And my point is, I cannot condemn the other force because they are missing our consciousness. You have to bring that consciousness, what's really doing to the people. And until that is happening, nothing is changing.
Exactly. So it's little steps, baby steps. My beautiful friend Claudia, I mean, we put out videos and, she comes to that point. It's like baby steps, all right? You can't start to fly if you're a fledgling, right? You're going to fall out of your nest and you're probably not going to make it, but you can take a step in the right direction. You can inform yourself. Do you have an illness? Well, frick, Google is the world encyclopedia, friends. Get on it. Investigate it. Don't take the first thing that somebody offers you. Get to that place where you start empowering yourself. There's so many offerings right now. And we've moved past, you said something earlier and it kind of triggered a memory in me that back in 2011 and 2012, many people, that was the big push out there. You've got to go get to a survival community. I went and lived in the Andes for crying out loud. You have to get to a safe place on the planet.
Listen, you were prepared for standing rock.
Right, exactly. I didn't know that then, but as soon as I got into the survival modality, so that when the 400-mile-an-hour winds and the earth was going to tilt on her axis and all of that shit was going to go down and they were going to bring out the Civil War and all of those things that were being promoted so heavily, what I found in the Andes was time to reflect. And I was very fortunate. It was a very hard journey. It was a very deep learning journey of trying to force a community, okay, which doesn't work. That's why Standing Rock is so phenomenal.
Thank you.
Able to start listening deeper to the elements, to the Fae, to the dragon forces and Mother Earth. I was able to start perceiving that. And the big question was, what the fuck am I surviving for in an underground shelter? That's what the elite are doing, right? They feel
talking about missing the higher consciousness.
Exactly.
I mean, not even higher, but understanding, becoming more conscious.
Right.
Really going on.
The expanding consciousness, the expanding ability. And so I learned from that experience that, forced, contrived communities, with very few exceptions, don't work. So many people since the 60s have tried to make these communities, and we all fall back into our humanity, right? Because it's being forced, it's being promoted by somebody. Now, there are exceptions, I know that. And I've been blessed by meeting people that are in some of these very beautiful communities. But this is what's happening here, is that it's emerging. This is the emergent field for humanity. It's not because do you know how Standing Rock started?
No.
Okay, so LaDonna Allard, her husband, and 6 other people, when they heard about them going under the river and under Lake Oahe, they were together. This is their land. Okay, they actually own this land. This is on private property. They started praying. 8 people started praying. And I was very fortunate to meet LaDonna's husband, Miles, on 2 occasions. And the first time, he said, all my life, all I've ever prayed for is unity. So 8 people started praying at Sacred Stone. And that's how it started. 8 people.
When was that?
In April.
Okay.
In April.
Because,
And
yeah, go ahead.
LaDonna, I met LaDonna also, and she's just, she's beautiful, but she manages many things. I mean, this is her land. She's providing for a lot of people. She's also in contact with the people that were in the political realm, so she has to move herself through all these different modalities. But in her heart of hearts, she's such a beautiful being. And it just is like, she said to me, she goes, I didn't know we were building a village. Now we're building a village. There's a schoolhouse up. There's a permanent kitchen up. All right? I mean, I watched them put up the Straw Bale Schoolhouse. It's operating. It's been operating for months. There are people here teaching children, right?
But that's talking about the seed, Christine, to see what I said.
Exactly. But see, that's the thing. It didn't take the whole world, and they didn't try to make something happen here. They went into prayer. And then the elders got the call. You see, all the spiritual elements we hear on another level, right? So the call goes out through all the ethers, to the mountains, through the trees, through the eagle, through the wolf, through wolf spirit, through buffalo spirit. All the spiritual world carries the message. And others started answering. And then when they lit the 7 sacred fires,
When was that happening?
I don't know exactly when that happened, but I knew when I heard of the 7 sacred fires, I knew that this was deep.
Yeah. This is
amazing.
The reason why I'm asking that is because in August I actually interviewed somebody from Maine, and it was so dear to me because I lived in Maine, and Maine is my hometown here in the U.S. So this is where my heart is, and I had a profound healings over there. I was very much touched, and he wrote actually his journey going to the Dakota Indian reservoirs, and the book called is Not for Sale. And when I started to read the book, I mean, I was crying for 2 weeks, and I said to him, listen, Kevin, I don't know how I will do this interview.
Right.
And little did I know that we were already tapping in something that, a month or 2 months later, it just became this incredible, burst of fire.
Well, there you go, Magdalena. And so it's like,
and so this is why I actually brought you here back, because you are just continuing the story for me.
Beautiful. And so, friends that are listening, go into the indigenous people of this land. Go into their stories. Start to understand it. Start to understand the Lakota language. It's a fire language. It's a light language. It holds concepts that English can't contain. This is deep stuff.
That's deep.
I mean, and so it's very, when I really heard it, and you said that book made you cry, well, while I was in the Andes in my little cabin, and while I was listening to the internet, I had heard of Russell Means back in the 80s. I knew about a lot of what was done when the AIM started and all of that. I heard an interview with Russell Means, a couple of them, right? And one he did right before he died with Pearl, his wife. I wept for 2 days because I knew that these people held a truth that was so deep. And what comes through me to say right now, we will go back, but maybe end even on the male, masculine, female energy. What Russell Means said, and he was a fighter, and he was a warrior, and he was intelligent, he was educated, he was amazing, amazing, amazing man. He's sitting there before he died, and he looks over at Pearl, and he says, she is the one. She is the one. I bow down to her as woman, as wisdom. He goes, men grow up and we go from diaper to diaper. It's the women. And you see the Cheyenne and the Lakota, they're matriarchal. They worship the female. They know her as the life giver. And it's vital for the masculine, embodied masculine spirits right now. The young ones get it. The older ones, they've been so well trained, they can't quite reach into that space yet. But that is very vital here. And I hear it all the time. I hear it out of the lips of the men. It's the female. It's the woman. The womb man. The womb man. And when we desecrate a woman, we're desecrating or disrespect a woman or mistreat a woman, a daughter, a child. We are doing that to our planet. And so that is a really very deeply held truth. That I can say is a truth. Fundamental.
That's a fundamental truth, yes.
But we lost that in our culture, in our modern world. And it was purposely. I mean, it was purposely taken away from us. And I'll call them what they are, through the dark priest class, to the black magicians covered in blackness and saying that they were fathers of a church. It was done over eons. It was done over centuries, millennium of time. And that's why, even this journey, Magdalena, this is a continuation of that journey.
That's why I'm saying, remember we were talking about this is all about journey. It's not a destination.
Exactly.
How many stops we will make in life to encounter, to understand the stop and, go into that spectrum or that platform and see what's really going on. And then when we are done with that, we are continuing to, get on the train and continue the journey.
Yeah. And where that journey is going to take us, I'm excited.
Yeah, that's the beauty. Christine, that's the beauty.
Right. And otherwise, what is one's life given for? Other than that itself, the journey.
Yes. Wow, this is so amazing. So wow, I am so blessed that, I had the chance to get you.
Thank you. Well, thank you for reaching out.
Yes.
Thank you.
And you said that you wanted to kind of add as a finishing line about the male-female oasis.
Well, that's what I was getting to with the Lakota people and the indigenous people. Okay. I mean, I could go in many directions, but I think this is a good place to end up because it's called reverence. I have reverence for my Earth Mother. Okay? The all-giving, all-loving, unconditional, abundant field that is my Earth Mother. Reverence. We lost true reverence. She is an eminent field of pure abundance. And our mandate, the only real law is do no harm. And the whole of that law is love. We don't need rules and regulations, friends. Just know that.
Wow, that's so beautifully said. And what I always say, how can we start with this kind of stuff is that respect other, be accountable for what you do, and be responsible. These are the 3 steps, what I always say when people say, well, where can I start? I said, these are the 3 steps you can do it, and just go from there. You will see, where the journey is taking you.
Exactly. And if you hurt someone, if you said something angry, we all have these parts in ourselves, then go back to that person, rectify it. It's so simple. We get so tangled up in knots sometimes when we can't make an apology because of that right-wrong thing. Oh, I can't do that.
Yes.
If you made a mistake, if you did something that you found out later, just go back and rectify it. And you don't even have to find that person. It could have been, it could have been years and years ago. Rectify it in yourself. Forgive yourself. Forgiveness is you forgiving you.
That's where it starts.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, I love you, Magdalena.
My love, listen, I'm so appreciative and I hope you're not freezing. And thank you so much, for your share. And I will bring you back again. Let's, stay in connection. And
Okay, no.
thank you for everybody who is putting so much energy and love for all of us here. Thank you for your effort and
so much
love
gratitude.
to you guys.
And gratitude is just flow gratitude. I mean, I'm so grateful to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you guys. Thank you. Much love. Bye.
Bye.